We're back. I believe this is episode 8. Don't quote me. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure it's episode 8. The Legend. With his little band-aid.
I got the Wonder Woman band-aid on.
Hey,
today.
Wonder Woman band-aid.
I'm flexing.
We're here with Soap. Alright, we gotta start off. What happened to your finger?
What happened to my finger? So, I was making French press coffee, right? And, wow, I started off super posh. But
I was gonna say,
I was making coffee, and I was taking apart the filter that you use to push down the beans afterwards, and I was just grabbing it super hard, and I didn't even realize it cut like 3 of my fingers, just like a bunch. But luckily, I'm kind of callous from working and doing outdoor stuff, so only one of them bled. Only one of them I really felt, but I can probably take this Wonder Woman band-aid off because.
Whoa! Exclusive for the interview.
It's just kind of greasy.
How did the coffee turn out?
I'll throw it in the trash.
Do it.
How did the coffee turn out? It was good. Yeah.
Oh, still good.
Some quality coffee. Hell yeah.
Yeah, you put a little bit of yourself in it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I love drinking soap. That's where the name comes from, actually.
Yeah, that was gonna be honestly my kickoff question. Was like, how did we get the name Soap?
Okay. So a lot of people have asked me this question, and it's always kind of had like meaning to me, but I never like put it in the words, I guess, like well, and I have kind of found a way to do it. So it's kind of about like the dichotomy between like dirty and clean, and just like that idea basically, and like going back between two extremes, moving back and forward in between them, and kind of in reference to drugs, but then also in other things in life. So then that, and then obviously maybe not so obviously, but like bars.
Oh,
so
okay.
That's
I
part
see
of
it now.
Yeah.
I didn't see it before, but yeah.
And then just like, I don't know, the idea of cleanliness. I've always really liked just like simplicity and like minimalism when it comes to any designs, really, whether it's just like photography or architecture.
Yeah.
I've always just been like a modern art fan. Maybe we should. I'm gonna make this long.
I was gonna say, like, we both looked over, like, is it still going?
So yeah, it's fine. I'm just gonna make it so it's not like jumping every couple seconds. Okay,
cool.
That should be good. All right, so yeah, then that bars, like the rap bars, and then also I used to deal with some benzodiazepine addiction. So I guess that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with that. It was just more in reference to the rap thing. And I think I had one more thing. Maybe not. I don't know.
Okay. Well, that's good. That was more, I guess, like, in-depth than I was expecting.
Yeah,
Not that I was expecting, like, just like soap. Like, I wasn't expecting something
Right.
stupid. But at what point, I guess, did you say, I am soap? Were you something before, or, like, did soap come out of something else?
I've always been, like, soap since I was, like, 13. Like, that was the first name. The first song I ever put out was called Soap. And I called myself Soap. And I didn't know why I did it then, really.
Yeah.
But I kind of did, because, like, it's always sort of been like about like the minimalism idea and my interest in that at that time, and then my interests in music and stuff, because I was doing a lot of like photography and things like that at that time. So I think that was part of it.
So you just like, you made a song and you're like, soap's the name, and then you're like, who am I? And you just like type soap. It would just like kind of came out. It was like that natural, or was it like...
I think I just made it up. I made it up in my room, just like the night before I recorded that song. Like, I think I came up with the name, and then I was like, well, if, it's my first song, I'm just going to make it a self-titled song. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I still have that on private on SoundCloud somewhere.
That's cool.
Someone can mug me for it at some point. No, I'm just kidding. Please don't. Don't take me.
Please don't.
Don't take the private. Well, don't take the privates.
Yeah, just...
Don't leave my privates alone.
So were you making music like before that, or that was like literally like not to like keep asking the same question different ways, but it's like
let's offer it.
It's cool that it sounded like it just was like boom, it pooped out of nothing.
But. So I never had like a name for my thing, but like I always rapped like from basically like 7th grade onwards. Mm-hmm. So I never really like I never came up with a name for it until I started actually releasing stuff, because I didn't want to like start doing things and not do them the right way. You know what I mean? Because I really care about.
Yep. I'm the same way.
Really care about like the thing. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like the just expression. Yeah, it's like that's like my it's life to me. Like and I think everyone can enjoy expressing themselves, in their own particular way. Yeah. So for a while, I started writing when I was, I think, 12. Well, okay, so I started writing poetry when I was like 8. Mm-hmm. Or 7 or 8, somewhere in there. And then started writing rap songs in like 7th grade. And just constantly freestyling all through high school, and people were like, "When are you putting out a mixtape? When's the mixtape coming?" Yeah. People like would always be like, "When's the mixtape coming?" You know what I mean? And I was like, "I don't." You know what I mean? It's just like everyone's kind of trying to rush you, because I would rap with people, and some people liked it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And those were the people that wanted me to put out the music. But I was like, I'm not gonna give like just kind of mid stuff. You know what I mean? I want to learn how to do it on my own. And I was also kind of in like a situation like where prior to me kind of taking it upon myself to learn how to like engineer and record myself, I kind of had like a bad experience with like the first time I was ever going to go record something. There was just like money involved, and like I didn't know the people. It was a real like awkward thing, and I ended up just ending bad. So I was just like, man, like fuck this. But then I kind of found stuff that was I found artists that were doing it completely on their own, and that they weren't forcing, they weren't going to studios and paying $100 an hour or whatever for it. And that just seemed like way more, that made way more sense to me when I found that. Because it's just like, I don't know, like going into a setting where the basis is basically money to a degree, especially if you don't know a person. Like if it's not like a engineer inviting you to their studio because they fuck with you, because they fuck with your music. It's just you contacting somebody that you don't really know, and like this was basically through somebody else taking me there. But anyways, it just doesn't feel right. I'm like kind of sensitive to like, I guess the way what's the word? Spontaneity is really important to me, basically. So, like, if something is, like, too set up, or somebody's over my shoulder being like, no, you should do it this way, or something like that, I will completely lose all interest in something that I really thought I was into.
Yeah, it takes, like, the fun out of it.
Yeah, because it's just, like, I don't know, the more heads, like, sometimes having more people involved in a project can make it amazing. You know what I mean? If it's the right people. But when it's people where there's like money involved and stuff, and like that's somewhat of the basis of the relationship, I feel like it just kind of is like, what are we doing? You know what I mean?
It's about the money, the business, instead of the art and the creativity.
Yeah, which is like I don't know, it seems like it's just like an abstract idea to some people, that like when you add business into something that's supposed to be like, I don't know, like above that sort of like bullshit. Yeah. It just kind of, it dampers it. That's the thing with like marketing yourself, and like just even like that being a term in music kind of fucking sucks. But it's also, it's just like, just the society we live in, bro. Yeah. Just the world we live in,
Yeah, just to keep up, you have to do that kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah. So you kind of got to just, you accept that, and you kind of just gotta say, well, fuck it, I'm just, I'm gonna do me, like, I'm gonna do this, but I'm gonna figure out a way to do it where I'm not, like, hurting myself, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I definitely am on my back all the time, every single day, like, yo, you better be doing something. Like,
yeah, I'm the same way too.
Yeah, it's just like, you better be making something, and that's a good thing, yeah.
Yeah.
It's good I don't really need an
Someone
engineer to, like, tell me something.
You coming to the studio today?
I do need an engineer to tell me something, but, like, not in that sense. Not
to motivate you. You're already motivated yourself. Yeah.
Not in that relationship. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, because you said something interesting to me, going back to you're 8 years old writing poetry, how did you get into poetry? I'm looking at myself at 8 years old. I was just, like, class clown making fun of, like, I was not thinking, like, poetry.
Yeah.
I probably didn't even know what poetry was at that age.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of got you into that? What kind of stuff were you writing, like, about or in general, or, like...
Probably Shel Silverstein, I think.
Okay.
I think his stuff probably inspired me as a kid.
Did you read a lot as a kid?
Not like books, but more, I've just always been like a music person. Like, I've always, since I was really young, I've always memorized, like, songs just by kind of happenstance, I guess.
Yeah.
And, I remember, like, when I would sit in the car with my parents, I would, like, logically know how a song is going to go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
And I don't know if I still have, like, that in my mind, but I feel like, it's that sort of thing was partially inside of me, I feel like, since I was, like, really young. Like, as far as just enjoying art and, expression.
Yeah.
And then my grandparents were both artists. My grandfather was a photographer, and my grandma was a painter. These are some of her paintings.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and
those are good too. Like, like artistic.
Yeah, and she would always take us to a studio and just put us in there and give us paint. And she probably, like, probably paid money for, paint wasn't cheap back then. Right. I feel like it was probably even more expensive. And she just, her art was dedicated, or her life was dedicated to art. She was an art teacher for 46 years.
That's cool.
Right? So she would put us in the studio. I have, like, pictures on disposables, I think, or they're 10mm or whatever.
Yeah.
And, we're just sitting in there with, like, brushes and stuff. So I think that was definitely part of the inspiration for that.
Was it both, like, one of your dad's parents or your mom's parents, or both sets were artists too?
Just the one side.
Okay.
Just my mom's parents.
Okay.
Yeah. And that was really, they were, like, incredible people. It was super inspiring. I tell this corny ass story about my grandpa the last time I talked to him when I was, like, 13, before he went in the hospital and eventually passed away. He found out that I had started, like, taking pictures, and that I had got, like, a camera. You know, I got a little, like, mini camera. I think I might still have it up here.
Oh, man.
I think I got these really early on, and when he found out that I was, like, taking pictures and stuff, he basically said, he was just, like, his eyes, like, lit up. Like, I never remember him, like, addressing me like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was gonna say probably made his life, and you're into what he was into.
Right. It was such a, like, pivotal thing, and I saw his face light up sort of in a way that I, like, hadn't before. You know what I mean? He was always sort of, like, watching over us, and he always had,
watching
like,
you paint, like,
yeah, like, no, he always had super wise things to say. He was an engineer. That was, like, how he made some of their money, was he taught engineering. So he was a complex thinker. Like, he was smart, but at that point in his life, he was unfortunately, like, suffering through, like, back pain and stuff like that, like, to, chronically, to the point where it was like, he had to be on drugs sometimes, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And but he was, like, still incredible, and he would always sit and watch over us and always have very wise things to say. And I remember this time, though, just the way that he lit up and addressed me, and he said, do what makes you happy and don't let anyone stop you.
Yeah.
And that was basically his advice to me, and I think my his daughters as well, my mom and my aunt. And yeah, it is a good, super pivotal and important point in my life. Looking back, I don't think I realized it then, but to have that be the last conversation you have with somebody who is, like, part of the reason you're alive, it's like, man, it's pretty heavy,
Exactly.
And it's like, well, if that guy was at the end of his life and that was the thing that he had to share with me, you know what I mean? Then there must be some reasoning behind it, you know what I mean? So whether what I belong doing is, whatever, I agree with the idea of doing what makes you happy and not sort of falling back on just what society wants out of you or the people around you want out of you. You should help them, of course, and there's a balance. You can't be, like, selfish and stuff, but I think there is something to be said for prioritizing yourself sort of, like, in the interest of others. Like, making sure you're happy, because if you're not happy, you really can't do much for other people.
Exactly.
You're not, because you're just not yourself.
Yeah, you don't have the energy to do that. Yeah.
Right.
Definitely.
Yes, that was a long diatribe.
No, that's cool, and that it's because my grandfather died when I was, like, 12, so, like, very similar, like, kind of he didn't maybe have the advice that yours did, that gave.
I'm
but
sure he did, man.
We had the same birthday, so it was like we were very, like, the same person.
We're close, yeah.
Exactly. So, but it's cool to hear that he gave you that advice, and at the same time, like, lit up from, like, even being older, that still sparked him joy. Like, that was his life, and to find yours, same thing, something different. Like, that's really cool.
And he was very sharp. I mean, to the end, man. One of my, not my favorite stories, but one of my one of the stories about him when he was passing away is that my mom and my aunt were basically, like, crying in the hospital room, and he's like, he's the one calming them down.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just like, it's just great. I don't know, like, just to be there for, I don't know, people until you pass. It's just, I don't know, cool dude.
Yeah. Definitely, and it's cool that you've got the maturity almost, where I could see you almost being that same person that's like, I get this, and he was almost like, and like, he had lived his life, and he was, like, happy he got to pass this on and got to see you do that thing, and like, man, don't worry, like, daughter's like, it's fine, like, it's chill, like, whatever.
Do your thing, yeah.
Exactly. So
it's incredible. Yeah, he had, like I said, just such great knowledge. I remember. Another funny story about him is, like, one year my grandma was, like, arguing with him and was like, I'm not leaving with you for vacation, and he just goes, I'll send you a postcard. It's just like,
that's great. That's some, like, married couple shit.
That's just hilarious. Yeah.
So you kind of grew up, I guess, at a young age, like, your family was, like, artistic and, like, maybe musical or something like that too?
Yeah, part of that also was dysfunction a little bit, and, like, just going through, having to deal with, like, the cops and stuff at the young age, and growing up around people, like, yelling at each other, and coming home drunk, completely blacked out with the cars crashed, blood everywhere, like, just early on in life, and then, so that was part of it, and then also, definitely the art, but the art kind of keeps you, like, a kid, you know what I mean? It kind of keeps you, like, straight, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the way I've always looked at it, is just, like, Yeah, I feel like you need that, like, expression or whatever of that shit, of, like, the fucked up part of, like, emotion and stuff, to function well in normal life. I feel like so many people have so much stuff that pent up, whether it's because healthcare is fucked and, like, nobody can get therapy, or
the perception of getting therapy is, like,
it's bad.
Up.
Or they're scared that people won't accept them for who they are. It's just like there's a myriad of reasons. You know? It's sad.
Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm. So, man, I kind of forget where we were. Well, so I guess growing up
I heard a noise. My bad.
Oh no, you're fine. You're fine. So I guess growing up. Oh, you know what? I remember what I was gonna say. So you need that piece, I feel like, to make genuine art that people can connect with. Because I feel like I'll listen to, like, see a show and it's like some royalty-free music, I call it, or like some paintings that are not like this, that are like in the hotels, or like certain things. I'm like, what's wrong with that? Why why is this not a song? And it's those pieces that you need to, like, actually have genuine art versus, like, a painting.
Right, there's a meaning. There's sort of a mystery.
Yeah, that emotion comes out into whatever the medium.
For sure. I'm trying to think. So should we pause this if they're gonna vacuum up here?
You think they're about to vacuum?
I don't know.
I mean, I would probably say we'll just keep on trucking. If we hear the vacuum,
all right, we'll cut that out.
Yeah, we'll cut that part out. Okay. Probably 5 seconds from now. It's
yeah, exactly.
But, like, yeah, we'll just keep going till something happens.
Okay, cool.
So
keep going.
Okay. So, I guess growing up, what's with all that kind of, like, shit going on, like, who was young Soap growing up writing poetry? Like, what was school life like? What was kid Soap like?
I was, like, pretty, like, defiant and stuff. I got, like, kicked out of 2 schools, you know. The things that were going on at home obviously reflect in you at school.
Yeah,
because that's where you're spending most of your day. That's where you learn how to, you know, talk to children and stuff, and or talk to, you know, other people of society, you know, other members of the world.
The world, yeah.
And so yeah, that starts to reflect there, and yeah, I just never did well in, like, that, like, sort of rigid thing with school.
Were you in, like, public school or private school or both, or, like, Catholic or something?
I was at a, like, Catholic school for...
Brutal.
Yeah, it was horrible. So I was wearing a like, a uniform and stuff, and then I got fucking kicked out of there, basically just because they fucking hated me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, there was just, like, one thing after the next, you know what I mean? So... yeah, I was pretty angry. I remember by the time I was in, like, 7th grade, like, every time going to school, I was just, like, staring at my feet, like, just so depressed about the mix of things that were going on at home and then at school and stuff. I remember,
you're, like, supposed to care about school with all that other shit.
Exactly. And you're trying to explain that. It's just hard to explain it to people. And, like, I remember I would go to school and have these, like, just stress headaches where I was just, like, so just wigged out from anxiety about going to school and, like, you know, just anxiety about life, like, at that age. And, yeah, I've always really, the thing though is, like, I've always felt like I'm, like, a loving person at heart.
Yeah.
And I always, like, kind of wanted, like, just to be, like, normal.
Yeah.
And, like, loving, like, have a normal family and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, like, not be just so full of, like, crap every day. Like, I wasn't mean to people.
Yeah.
But I was just so sad, you know, and I would, like, withdraw and stuff and just do, you know, just dumb shit. And then as that went on, and I started, like, smoking weed and stuff when I was, like, 13.
Yeah.
And then that turned into, like, pills, and then, you know, a whole bunch of shit. So that was like 13 to like 15. And
that was
then,
when you like changed schools or something like that?
Yeah, so I changed schools. All right, so I went to public school after that, and then this is like the only school I actually like finished out at, but it was like literally the 3/4 of my 8th grade year I finished out there, but I felt so much happier there because I could wear what I want.
Yeah.
And I could like, I don't know, there's just more people
you
there.
You could finally express yourself a little
bit.
bit.
Exactly. There was not just one rigid ideology, like the puritanical, like weird shit that, you know, if you have that contrast between what's going on in your house and what's going on.
Catholicism is definitely not going to help.
Right.
That.
And by the time you're in, 5th grade, you're like, this is fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, not that I necessarily think like religion necessarily is bullshit, but I think like the puritanical control it puts over people is definitely like bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, it's not right. I think early on when religion became a thing, I think it's just like, it's pretty important because of the existential shit we deal with. You know what I mean? Homo sapiens means the mammal that knows it knows. So it's just like, that is what we are, you know? We're the mammal that knows it dies.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so like everything around that is kind of like, I completely forgot where I was going with that. Where was I at prior?
Catholicism, religion, Homo sapiens.
Oh yeah, my bad. So,
I got you.
So we know. Thank you. So we know we're gonna die. So that stuff just sort of naturally starts to come out, and then there's also a lot of evidence going back to like ancient Greece and even like, I'm sure you've heard the whole like mushrooms could have grown our brain theory and stuff like that, but there was like, even back to like ancient Greece, there was like ergot that they were drinking, like the philosophers, so they were all like tripping basically and going on these like crazy journeys. They would walk like 14 days across the desert to take essentially LSD, you know what I mean, and say they conquer their fear of death. And so I think that like a lot of things early on like came out of that, and then, I mean, it's theorized that once like I think it was the Romans, they started like conquering places. They essentially took that ritual from them, and the ritual was at a place called Eleusis in Greece, and there's writings by one of the philosophers that said, this is like the cornerstone of society, like Greece will cease to exist if we get rid of this. Wow, you know what I mean? And so basically those rituals and stuff got hijacked by the power structures that, existed back then that fuck shit up today.
Politics
basically.
And everything.
Yeah, exactly. It got absorbed by that and became a means for controlling people and putting the fear of death, the fear of God in them, and the fear of death and stuff like that. So I think at the root of understanding religion's like a beautiful thing, and the whole idea of just like affirmation, which is basically what praying is, is basically just saying I'm going to have a good day, or I'm sorry for what I've done. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know, I feel like we get too mixed up about the concepts and then how power structures have fucked them. You know what I mean? Like we get confused. It's like, you don't need to be a part of a crazy group that is out here telling people that they shouldn't have control over their bodies, or trying to turn gay men into straight men. You know what I mean? You don't have to be a part of that if you want to, but if you still want to have, because there must be some very real benefits of practicing some sort of, spiritualism, etc., if it's lasted for this long. Yoga and stuff like that is in like the earliest Vedic textures, so it's just like that these rituals that we do and stuff to basically like distract ourselves from death have always been like super interesting to me. Like religion was one of the first thing I was super interested in because I basically bounced out of Catholicism.
Yeah, were you brought up like Catholic, or like your parents? They just like, put you in there to get you that like.
Well, like we went to like church and stuff like that.
It was Catholic church or like church?
Yeah, Catholic church.
Okay.
Yeah, and then like, also like early on and stuff, you're like, you hear about like priests being creeps and shit like that. So and then like, something that was crazy, like one of the priests, actually like the bishop that would like come to our school, you know, like once a year or whatever, he got caught in like over in like Boston or something like that. He was like part of like a huge scandal where he was like sending priests around and stuff like that to like, you know, if he was like covering up molestation and shit like that.
Wow.
So yeah, it's just like all that stuff is so fucking crazy. Like the contrast between, you know, the idea of like some sort of ritualism that can help you with like existential angst and like just this stupid fucking thing that has been produced, you know what I mean? It sucks. It causes a lot of problems. And then, you know, it's almost like you're like, would we just be better without this, you know?
Yeah, I definitely agree.
There's some people that argue that.
I was brought up like not Catholic, but I went to Christian school from second grade all the way up to 11th grade. I had to wear uniforms. We had to go to chapel, memorize Bible verses.
The worst.
Like exactly, and like it was similar to Catholicism, but it was so like ritualistic, and it's like do this, say this, memorize this, and I was like, but I'm not having any like relationship with like God or spirit. I can't with myself or whatever. I have to whatever. My parents would always be like, why can't you be like Trevor? He's got his hands up. I'm like, let me put my hands up. Fine, I'll put my fucking hands up and like whatever. And then like 3 years later, I'm smoking weed in a circle with all the like church kids. And it's like, Mom, if you only knew, like they're just doing it because they know it looks good or whatever.
Yeah,
but
I mean, it's the more you, I don't know. It's just like, I don't know how we haven't figured out like the thing yet. When you tell people to not do something, they're gonna want to do it. Yeah. That's like literally, it's just human nature. We're just, you know, we just want to defy people, especially when we're young. So it's just like, you can't force people into this stuff. You have to make them understand first why it's important. And I feel like a lot of people haven't even thought about why it's important to them.
Because their parents told them you have to do it, and then you have to do it, you know?
But a lot of that stuff's kind of getting shaken up. The internet is a big part of that, and I think the internet's great, but it's also like terrible a lot of the time. We definitely see like a huge, you know, a lot of negative parts of it, you know.
Yeah, definitely. I always say the only 2 times I get depressed is when I talk to my parents and when I look at Instagram. And it's like any other time I'm like, man, I'm doing great. I'm blessed. Like I got so much good shit, and then it's like my parents
don't bother
you suck, or then I look at Instagram and I'm like, I don't have that, or this is not my life, so fuck. And so I try to like stay away from both of those things. Sorry, parents, but
Instagram doesn't really do it for me as far as like bugs me as much. But the thing that gets me more is like Twitter and watching people just be so damn mean to each other.
I'm gonna check the video too. Just while
okay,
I'm gonna check that. Make sure it's so good. Alright, cool.
Alright, we good?
We good.
Yeah. I hate how people are so mean to each other and there's like zero conversation, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like then like if you read into kind of like what's going on right now, it's just like, you know, like all the major like first world countries or whatever the fuck you want to call it, the imperialists, we're all doing this thing to each other's like society right now, where, you know, each other's civilians right now, where they get some surface level understanding, or maybe not even surface level. I mean, you know, people are pretty intelligent.
Opinion on nothing.
Yeah, well, they like these like for instance, in Russia there is something called the Internet Research Agency, and it's just a building, like an office building in New York, like how you would see, but it's just full of people making social media accounts and arguing about our politics.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, to like get people just like stirred up and shit?
So that's why it's just like, I feel like so many people don't even know that. They just assume that, you know, the world is evil. There's, you know, this person is so dumb. This political party is so dumb. When it's just like, you don't even know if you're looking at real people or any valuable information.
I don't think people care. I'll read some of that stuff on Twitter. I'm like, why did you even do this?
It's like, almost like a masochistic, like, I don't know, like the whole doom scrolling thing, like the whole I really lost energy for social media this last year, essentially. Just watching, you know, whether it was the bots, but watching some people just fall into the being so damn mean to each other, you know, no matter what side they're on of you know, politics or whatever. It's just like, what is the point? You know, it's sad to watch people fall into it and get so emotional and get so wrapped up, because it's like, I know you're not happy. If you're online attacking people, if you're online arguing all day, there's no way you can be happy.
You're offline also doing that same shit. You're that like dick at the grocery store who's or that cuts
just
you out.
Mad.
You know?
Just mad about everything.
And you're not dealing with it, you're just blasting it out more into the universe. And I've been reading this book on thought vibration.
And to think too that like a lot of it is influenced by like bot discourse.
Yeah.
Just like, I don't know, I wish more people knew that, because it's like, I don't know. But at the same time, it's like people make careers just fucking yelling at each other, so it's what it is. But I mean, if that's your thing, you know, if you're like somebody who just like roasts people or whatever, some people do that. I don't know.
Yeah, my dad's dad used to watch. He was a CPA, and so he was used to watch. I want to say the name Money Talks comes to my mind. I don't know if that's a real show. In the comments, if you know what the show I'm talking about, but it's like it would be people. It's like, oh, Grandpa's got to watch this show. It's like 8:00, and it's like people, the 4 like old white guys yelling at each other about like finances. And I would just like, all right, I'll see you later, Grandpa. We'll watch it. No, I think that we need the currency, and they're all yelling at each other, and it's like, or I'll watch. I'm not a big sports guy, so no offense, but like if you are, but I'll watch like Sports Center, and they're like, no, Michael Jordan is better than. I'm like, who cares? Like,
it's just a business.
Yeah.
And then once again, going back to like ritualism, there's just so many things that we do that are like, you know, why do we do this? But it's basically, there is an argument, which is ritualism, which is that a lot of it stems from fear of death, and that we know, you know, we'll pass away one day. So, just so funny. I don't know. When you think about a lot of it that way, you can kind of take yourself out of it a little bit. I feel like it's good to step back and just laugh at things for sometimes. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because it's like, we're all headed to the same place. We're all headed home. It's like nothing's that serious.
Exactly.
But in a beautiful way, you know, not like as in like, you know, life is a dead end, you know, sledge or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, this is like extensive knowledge of like religion, history, all kinds of things like Greece and Rome or whatever. Were you always interested in history, or is this like what made you kind of like dig so deep and do so much research into like that topic? It's very like interesting.
So as I like got older, okay, so I guess like early on when I was like 13, 14, all the conspiracy stuff that you see like people getting into like now, like and this was like back when people kind of actually did like real research on stuff, like they would actually you know, because everything wasn't online as much then, so a lot of the people that were, you know, talking about conspiracies and basically just like the giant corporate conglomerates that own like everything.
Yeah.
I think that is like part of what like sent me down sort of like the path of like wanting to learn about why the world is the way it is. And so that turned into like a lot of documentary watching, a lot of like researching like aliens and stuff like that. And then eventually you get to like the actually like good stuff that has like merit, and it's not necessarily like conspiracy, but just like counterculture thinking. I've always been into thinkers like Terrence McKenna, like and people, Aldous Huxley. I liked learning about like Ram Dass, Timothy Leary, you know, those like figures and stuff that just did all this like crazy shit. I started learning about all that stuff early on, like the counterculture thinking, listening to lectures by them like really young, and I did acid probably a little too early, so I was really into like, you know, not like learning, you know what I mean, which I think was a good thing, but then also it's just like you're kind of crazy, you know, you're not too logical when you're 13, but like it was cool because I got into just a lot of that stuff, and I think that. Sorry, what was the question? That was basically...
you pretty much answered it, and perfect segue, because I was going to even ask if you had ever done acid / when, and you had brought it up already, so I guess, do you think there was, like... Because I haven't done... I've done shrooms a bunch, but I've never done acid yet, because I'm afraid to face my shit sometimes, honestly, so, like...
you should be. I think psychedelics, I think you should be scared. If you're not humbled by something that shows you... you know, all your flaws and all what you need to be doing, and like how loving you should be being, and like stuff like that, should be scared.
Yeah, so, that's good. No, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So I guess, do you feel like there was like the before and after, or do you feel like that shaped like your future as far as like, did it really open everything up, or did it more or less like, because you were so young, you kind of were already open and this just like amplified it? I don't know if that even made any sense as a question. You can say no.
Sorry, repeat it one more time. Did it amplify the freedom of being a kid?
Well, so, like, because I had talked to, like, you know, Shadow. So we had a discussion about, like, meditation and how he became Shadow 6. And he was like, I was sitting there and basically, like, just meditating and just Shadow 6. I'm Shadow. And I'm curious because I kind of picked, like, my artist name. I had to, like, really think about like, what... But some people I've talked to, like, I am this thing. Yeah. I don't know if you know Blossom Reynolds. His was like, I am this. And I was before, and now I'm this. So I was curious if that was how you were. There was old you, and then there was post that.
No, I feel like a lot of what I do is, like, fully me. You know what I mean? Like
it was always you.
Yeah, to a degree. Like, I definitely agree with that sort of idea that it feels like you've always been this thing... and then it just develops, like, I don't remember, like, any, particular, like, thing that shifted me, like, a before and after thing. It's all sort of, like, one thing, you know what I mean? I feel like I'm writing about my, like, whole experience of my life when I'm
from that stage to this stage and like each piece of it.
Yeah, and like I said earlier when we were talking, is that like I feel like it's hard to get to this mindset, but I feel like I'm so blessed to have, you know, gotten kicked out of schools, lived in different towns, just, you know, sold weed, you know, sold other shit in school, like had a bunch of stuff that put me into situations that I feel like a lot of people don't go through when they're a teenage. Well, maybe people do go through them when they're a teenager, but around myself at the time, I felt like me and like some couple of my friends, like we were in fucking situations that like, you know, I didn't know anybody around me that were dealing with, like the cops used to like fucking circle my block like weekly, you know, just like every day, like trying to basically fuck on us at school and stuff, and that's finally over with, thank God. But yeah, just like having just a wild mixed bag, and I had, friends from the city, I had friends from the suburbs, I had friends in just different places all over, just because of the kind of circle that you get into with like weed and we'll use that as a stand-in word for other things. You know what I mean?
Right,
just
right.
drugs, like what that
or that
brings
scene
you
and that
to.
culture and
And stuff. And so it's like I've always been a people person. I think a lot of the things I've experienced have been like a lifelong lesson. Mm-hmm. And that's what everyone's life is, or at least should be. Hopefully,
maybe don't view it all as lessons. Like I tried to do that as well too. But some people are just blasting through and they don't learn.
Not necessarily like even like call them lessons, but just like think about why things have happened in your life. Like, I feel like that's a good thing to, and then also just consider the array of experience that different people have on Earth. It's like all that is super important. I feel like to not just be, I don't know, close-minded, and like I feel like life is kind of about learning. It's like if you're not learning, if you're not really like moving forward or growing in some sense, then it's like, what's the point?
100% agree.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be a inspirational speaker or anything, but
no, but that's good, because I think some people don't have that mentality.
Mm-hmm.
I know my mom's grown a little bit more so, but my dad's very much like, this is just what I do. Like, my brother and I were talking to him at lunch the one day, and we're like, do you still, like, because he was brought up, have you ever seen My Big Fat Greek Wedding?
Mm-mm.
Okay. He was brought up Serbian Orthodox, which is very similar to Greek Orthodox, very Catholicism-ish, but not actual Catholic. It was like Christian or whatever, but it was like, you just pray, you say, Jesus, come into my heart, and you go to heaven, and he's like, honestly, I'm not touching it. I said it back, 40 years ago, whatever. I'm not touching it. I don't want to think about it. This is it. Yeah. And it's like, whoa, like, you don't think about, like, what about life? You don't ever, like, meditate or go into yourself and think about, like, whatever. You're just like, nope. Just go to work, get your money,
Yeah, I think a lot of that is, like, how they're brought up, Yeah. Like, because you meet a lot of people who have, like, pretty rigid ideology, and they also have, like, not rigid ideology, but rigid personhood. And I think everyone kind of does. As they get older, they find it harder to change because, I mean, biologically it's happening too. Your brain doesn't form as many new neurons. You're not having as many new experiences if you're just living like a regular life. And some situations, I think, it's obvious that people don't have an opportunity to do anything but try to get food. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so the luxury of
I completely,
stuff.
I completely take account of that, and I don't think that anyone should be faulted for their like inability to do something that they do want to do, but their circumstances hold them back. I think that is like something that needs to be considered when it comes to like large scale, like our country. You know what I mean? Like, if there needs to be another choice other than college, like something that I've always thought would be. I mean, we watched how much money the government shot out this year. It's like, why hasn't that been going to people who have needed it forever? Yeah. And it's like even doing things like building a career center in a historically disadvantaged neighborhood, whether it be from Jim Crow, which was extremely fucked up, you know what I mean? And that is, whether it be from that or, just general lack of education in an area, there needs to be another choice. If we just build career centers and have like software developers or architecture guys, construction people, forestry, learning how to cut down trees, stuff like that. It's like those are the things that we need to be implementing in neighborhoods that are hurting, because we need to give people like a way out of just working that bullshit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And struggling. So I think that's, I do think about that, you know what I mean? No one should be faulted if they can't, go after something that they're super passionate about.
Yeah, exactly. And I like that you're able to see that, like, you and myself are blessed to, be able to do that type of
even
stuff.
Have a house. Yeah,
exactly.
Even have a place to live. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. There's definitely,
Cool. So I want to shift gears for a second. So, 13, I think you said you switched schools, and that's where you linked up with like Shadow and Visual and all that type of people, or was that another?
This was later. This was another boot.
Oh, so okay. Man, okay. Yeah. Got a pair of boots there.
Yeah. So, so how this happened was basically like. So I got kicked out of private school, started going to public school, went into the high school that public school had, was there for like 2 years, 2.5, something like that.
It's like sophomore year-ish?
Yeah, like I forget, and this was as drug addiction was getting more serious, as my parents' relationship was becoming more fucked up, as more violence was happening, I would have to leave my home like often.
Yeah.
So things are just getting worse and worse and worse and worse, and I feel like I have like no way out, basically. I'm like taking drugs and stuff, and then I had a seizure at Hudson after dealing with just like the police and like, there was teachers that would fucking like, like bully me. You know what I mean? They would say shit, and I would just like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
You're an adult. Like,
yeah,
come
it's
on.
like, grow the fuck up.
Yeah.
I remember I had like one teacher say some shit because I knew how to unlock an iPad. Like I knew how to factory reset an iPad, which isn't fucking. It's not that goddamn hard.
Right.
And she was like, "Well, why do you know how to do that?" And I literally stood up and just dropped her class, like in front of the whole class. I was like, "Fuck you!" Like fuck you. You teach American Sign Language. Like go, yeah. Check this one out.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, as like the relationship with that school was just getting worse, and it was just kind of weird because I was never really like friends with people in my grade. I was always friends with the people that were older than me.
Yeah.
I had like very, if any, I mean like not many friends my age, and so.
Were you an only child?
No, I have 2 brothers and a sister.
Are they all younger or are they older?
My one brother is older, and then I have 2 younger siblings, boy and a girl.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were you like, not that it was all your older brother's friends, but was that kind of why you were clicked better at that?
Not really. My brother had a group of friends that he wouldn't let me hang out with him.
Oh,
he was
okay.
Like,
you were like the little brother type shit?
Well, not even that. It was more like I think he wanted to appear like more normal. Like, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Like he didn't. I think that was probably part of it. He didn't want his friends to know about.
He'd found his like safe place almost.
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
Like, I don't want to keep it. I want to keep it safe.
Yeah, like I don't want like the friends that I've found at this school to know that I think that was part of it, but that didn't last.
Right.
Unfortunately, like when people don't know a full side of you or a full side of your situation and stuff that you're dealing with, they just were fair weather friends, basically.
Yeah, I was gonna say they don't know him, so they can't really be that good friends.
Right, they were fair weather friends, basically, and so they ended up not being a part of any, like a part of our life, anyways. But that was kind of a sad situation. But the older kids that I hung out with were I'm gonna be honest, the guy that sold me weed, like the guy that one of the dudes that sold me weed, and then, you know, I would just ride around with them and stuff, because we were just friends, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like a weird situation, but then I kind of got just linked in with that group of people, and I was always like the young motherfucker, you know, they always call me little and shit like that. It was fun. Those were good years, but anyways, then those kids left, right? So I didn't really, you know, it's just like, I'm kind of at school, like, sort of on my own, just, you know, just kind of like withdrawn and stuff like that. Withdrawn from school. Yeah. And so then I had a seizure in the library and said, you know, fuck all this. Like, I cannot be at this school anymore. Yeah. You know, because people said that I overdosed on heroin, and, like, you know, they started making up, you know,
anything they could,
whatever would have you, when, it wasn't what happened, basically. Yeah, you know, and then that turned into a whole thing. So it's just like, this is too fucking much, you know what I mean?
Right.
And you're like,
on top of everything else.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah. And so then I leave that school and go to Kent, and that's where I meet Visual, Shadow. I gotta think. There was a few more, Louis. There was a good amount of people I met there that I continue to be friends with. Yeah. From there, and I feel like those were the people where I was like, oh yes, you know what I mean? Like, I was so glad to find kids my age that were, like, cool. You know what I mean? And, like, there were and stuff, but, like, they're interesting people. You know what I mean? And they had personality, and we were into the same music, and they were on the same shit that I was on when I was 13. Yeah. Like, smoking weed and, you know, getting into, like, the meditation shit and all that stuff, and delving into conspiracy or whatever you want to call it, and, like, history and stuff like that. So we were all sort of on that same wavelength, and I was really connected with them. Yeah. And so, that was what led me there.
Okay. Yeah. Would you...
Long story.
No, I appreciate that. And I was curious, do you believe in, like, destiny, that was supposed to happen? Like, had that not happened, who knows what you or Soap would have been? Yeah. But, like, not just specific destiny to that, but in general.
I think I definitely probably would have ended up doing music somehow still, most likely. But falling into that group of people and, like, sort of putting together a thing with them, I think definitely maybe accelerated it. But originally, when that happened, that didn't end well either, because we were all, it did not end well with the majority of us. You know what I mean? Like, things were okay or whatever, but there was just, like, some problems, you know what I mean? Like, we were young and stupid, and we ended up arguing about something and sort of, like, disbanding. So even that was, and even that situation was like, man, what the fuck? Like, I just have to do this on my own. You know what I mean?
Had it and I was like,
it's just like, I can't do, like, I just gotta be on my own. And luckily, I've always been okay with that, though. Is that, like, you know, if I feel that somebody is giving me a raw deal, whether they are or not, at the time, then I'm not gonna get involved. Like, when it is that money shit we were talking about earlier. Right. It's just like, I don't know. It's not worth the sweating it. It's not worth sweating it. You know what I mean? I would rather just step back. So then, that kind of passed, and then we all graduated, and we all met back up, and everything was fine. You know what I mean? Or at least me, Visual, and Shadow are all cool now. You know what I mean? That's we're not friends, or we're not friends. You know what I mean? Right. So those guys are great. They're both they're great dudes. Shadow, we always have the best conversations.
Yeah, definitely. And it makes sense hearing the full story and then hearing that you connected with them, because I feel like you sound like you've had this, like, maturity just because you had to kind of grow up. Sounds like really early, exactly. Yeah. I feel like because I probably am, like, way older than all of you guys if you're the same age as them, and like the conversations that I've had with each individual of you guys and as a group, it's been like a very mature, like more mature than people my own age. And it's like, it's cool that, I don't know, art or weed or like just music and stuff can all kind of bring that together.
I think what, I think just like the exploration of yourself through art brings good awareness, depending on like how much you write and how much you do, but also on like stepping back a larger scale, like any starting a business, any venture that you're going out on your own, whether it be creative or anything, you're gonna learn a ton about yourself. You know what I mean? It's like, so, and you're gonna learn a lot if you really care about the thing. You're gonna learn a lot about other things too alongside of it, and then, so if you get into one of those things, and then when you are learning about other things, you know what I mean? You understand that there is way more complexity than you see on the surface about everything.
Right.
You know? And so then I think that kind of triggers you to be like, oh, okay, well, like, I should go and look at this for myself the same way I kind of did this.
Yeah.
You know? Same way I kind of do music. And I think that's part of it. It's all, I don't know, it all like wraps into one, like all the stuff, I feel like.
Yeah, it's definitely like connected, and it's interesting. Even as you're saying, like research, and when I research something too, it's like it'll reference a book, and I'm like, I read that, or then I'm like, add it to the list, and my list never, as I'm reading it, never shrinks. It always just gets bigger.
Keeps
like,
going.
Exactly. So I'm glad you brought up music, because I'm gonna shift gears into music for a second. Yeah. So the Soap as an artist, I mean, I've kind of watched your progression since meeting you at Master Keys. You know what I mean? So
pretty long time it's been.
Yeah, and it's weird that we've never had like a conversation like this. We've never like really done anything.
Out. Yeah.
Exactly. Right. So as far as the music goes, would you say like you have hit your style? Are you still evolving? Are you always going to be evolving? Because you kind of have like from chill boom bap to like aggressive, everything kind of in between. Is that all you?
Yeah, I love everything, and I want to do even more different stuff, and I love like all the types of song. Like I love all types of hip hop. Like is what I've learned. You know, I used to be, I feel like a little more pigeonholed to what I thought was good, but anything can be incredible, dude. It just has to be done right. Sort of like a meal. You know what I mean? Yeah. You know, you might hear about some weird fish and you're like, that's disgusting, why the hell would they do that? But if it's made by a 5-star chef, then it's good.
Or you know what I mean? And someone's mom who really cares and really wants to do a good job.
So like the way it was for me is just like, I just like didn't like what I thought was generic music, and I thought I didn't delve into stuff the way that I do now if an artist was like super popular. Oh, yeah. You know what I mean?
I've kind of been there too.
Yeah, like where you're kind of like
I'll save that for later.
Yeah, like you're kind of like
turned off or like
what do you call it? It's almost like I'm forgetting the word. Being a contrarian, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Just being against something because it's popular. It's just like it's a short-sighted mindset, and I think a lot of people kind of have that, because I like hung out around like a lot of skateboarders and like skateboarded a lot when I was a kid, so you know, everyone was just like, you know, bad shit, like breaking into schools and just saying fuck everything, you know what I mean, like just being crazy. That's just like the culture of young skateboarders, and so you know, that your mind, I feel like, kind of latches onto that as well, whether it's like subconsciously or, you know, consciously.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So,
sorry, was that a finished response?
I was just waiting. So, I just want to see if there's more. Okay. So I guess the musically, so you feel like you're...
No, I don't know if I slept well. Go ahead.
No, you're good. I think I'm off like 4 hours, so it's like no big deal. So would you say like you have found like...
Oh yeah, the sound.
Your sound,
like... I don't really want to have a sound. I guess,
okay.
is because it's just like, I mean, I guess there's a way that I do like that my voice sounds, but I want to do everything eventually, so I don't want to pigeonhole myself to one thing.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna try to build each version, you know. I'm gonna build each version up of the shit that I'm interested in, doing my own version of it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do that and probably just put it out all under soap, and then I might do like one like a side project or something like that. But as far as like my rap sound, I guess to a degree, there's certain stuff I like, but it's really like all over the place, dude. I like making everything, you know, if I can. Like I've recorded a freestyle on Playboy Cardi. Woke up like this the other day. Just for fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was fun as fuck. I had so much fun. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's just like, yeah, I like to do it all. So I don't think I've found my sound. I think I've found like different like sounds. You know what I mean? That I kind of like doing, like whether it's like jazzy kind of stuff, the stuff that is just loops, you know, the real stripped down lo-fi stuff that is just no 808s or no drum machine or anything like that.
Right.
Like I love that stuff too. But then also the one I played earlier with the super hard hitting drums and you know, the distortion and stuff like that. Yeah, I like it all. I want them all. I gotta catch them all like Pokemon.
Exactly. That's cool because it's almost like your sound is no sound.
But
like,
I don't want to overextend myself. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So like, yeah.
So there's stuff that like you wouldn't do just because you don't see yourself doing that, or you don't really like it, or like.
Well. Yeah, probably not because I don't like it. I can find like valuable things, I feel like, in every part of music. But yeah, just because it's like you only got so much time here. You know, you gotta develop the things that you favor the most, I guess.
Yeah. So do you have I'm gonna ask the same question, but one is a zoomed in version and one's a zoomed out version. Do you have a favorite like song or like anything that you have made where you're like, this was like, maybe it's one of the beginning ones, maybe it's something more recent. Is there anything you're like, man, this was my favorite, I don't really know why? And then zoomed out question is there a favorite like either type of music, whether the more chill or the more one, or is it completely dependent on like what's in here, you got to get it out?
Yeah.
What's the medium for that?
Yeah, it's really like the mood. Favorite songs that I've done, for a while it was that Fate song. I feel like a lot of the way that I do like music, so like I usually sit and write something all in one sitting, record, engineer it, maybe engineer it the next day if my ears are really tired. But by the time it's like a finished product, I've like listened to it like 200 times. Yeah. So like, you know, maybe more. So like, to be honest, it's pretty rare that I
want to keep listening to it?
Yeah, really love something for a long time after I create it. Because the way that I guess my brain is just worked is that it's like one thing and then on to the next. You know what I mean? Yeah. That makes me feel good for a day. Like getting a song done that I liked makes me feel good for a day, but then for whatever reason, just the way I'm wired, the next day, it's like, you know, don't mean shit now, bro. You gotta go. Yeah. You know? So, but yeah, one that I enjoyed for a while after was Fate, and then that Dayfall song, which is like kind of the one we were talking about, and I like the one off my new tape called Before Night.
I like that one too.
Yeah, it's like Yeah, I was thinking about doing a video for that, or I also have another kind of thing like that too. But
So that's an interesting question too. Is like how do you pick which ones that you do for the video? Are they like they just your favorites, or there's a certain vibe that you think that?
Yeah, I can just like see a video usually. Depending on a beat, like once it's all like fleshed out, like the idea I usually comes with the song. You know what I mean? Like the way I thought of like Fate was like, all right, this sounds like Tokyo. You know what I mean? This sounds like some old city, like I got the idea of like a destroyed city, but like kind of like digital and like psychedelic type thing.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, and then I'm also like talking about Fate and the idea that, so I went into the city for that one in Little Italy, where my family is from Italy, to kind of like wrap that into it. And there was like certain things that I wanted to include in it. The one that I've had like the most, I think, pertinent idea as far as like a visual was that Semblance song, where I was like, yeah, this is what I want it to look like, and like I knew like immediately where I wanted to shoot it, and whatnot. That video is actually funny. I don't know if you've seen it.
Is that the churchish one with like the bridge and stuff? It's kind of a recent one.
No, I'll show it to you after. It has like, here, I'll play the song. It's kind of strange.
Okay.
It's like a.
I feel like I've definitely seen it. I just can't go off the name.
It's one of the ones that I did on my own, right? So it's like this thing.
Okay.
You think you have heard it? And it's down by the river and stuff like that. I just like immediately got a visual for that one in my mind. So the ones that I choose are the ones usually that like paint a picture in my head already. I have one in the works for another one of my songs right now that's going to be the most high production one I've done with like we're going to travel for it and shit like that.
Okay.
So that'll be pretty sick.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I'm pretty hyped on that.
Yeah. Who's shooting that one?
I think Zenon. So the guy that did Fate.
Yeah, that's going to be good.
Yeah, that was the first time we collabed, was on Fate, and he's awesome. He's super good.
For sure.
Super good photographer, great or super great videographer, a lot of good shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I've been following him for a while too.
So yeah, just the ones that give me the most imagery.
Yeah. And then I know we had talked before about how you kind of like do your own videos or like edit them and stuff too.
Yeah.
Do you shoot them and edit them yourself, or mostly just edit? Or like
usually I'm just like shooting with just like a friend, or when I do my own ones for a while. Yeah, just friends really, and then I just go and I edit them and put them together on my own. I've shot some videos like completely on my own, like, you know, with a tripod and stuff like that, but yeah, when I do them on my own, I'm basically doing it getting footage from somebody else and then doing it on Final Cut.
Yeah. Do you enjoy doing that, or if
yes.
you could? Okay.
So much.
Okay.
So much.
Equal to music, or if they said, hey, we'll pay you all this money, just pick one of your things.
Yeah.
Like, would you still pick everything basically, or like?
Yeah, I would definitely still do it all, just cause. But the feeling I get when I'm doing those two is really similar. You know what I mean? Like top level, like tapped in. Sort of like adrenaline, and then like just like playing with like drops and stuff, and then adding the visual aspect to it, and then, you know, having the visual and like watching it come to life, and like doing like little things with like, because I've always been into like timing up music videos with like bass kicks and the hits and stuff, and just making them do like trippy stuff, even with the, I don't know, like the little thing I had on the little room I had on Final Cut. I was having so much fun just, you know, fucking around and like playing with different frames and stuff like that. just a blast. Yeah.
Yeah.
I find that shit super fun. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's cool. It sounds like because I was talking to Mike Renegade too, and he was very similar. He's like, I love doing every part of it, and it's like, and he also said I have no sound too, so it's kind of similar. It's cool that like, it's almost you're just the artist, and there is no like I only do this. It's whatever. It's like man, I just love making shit.
Yeah.
Like, put anything in front of me, and I'm gonna make something.
I think that's what a lot of people are like. I mean, yeah, a lot of people who are like art. Interested in like art savvy. I feel like a lot of people, no matter what sort of art that they started with, can kind of, well, they can't do everything, but they can apply those things to like other pieces of art, and I think most artists probably are pretty good at that.
Yeah, I feel like it's the creative energy, and it just is transmuted into maybe a video or a song or a script or you know clay or something.
Right. I don't like calling myself an artist. It's pretty.
Oh, okay. How would you describe yourself?
An artist.
You just don't like doing it, like I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay. Sometimes it's I usually don't bring up, because I feel like so many people make music now, and so many people like meet you and immediately want you to follow their Instagram and like and like whatever, that's cool.
And then they don't follow you back.
Yeah.
If you're me.
and like it's just like I don't know, kind of starting at like, you don't have to start at that basis exactly, but like I feel like a lot of people do. So like when you're meeting people and you start with like, oh, I'm a rapper, they're gonna assume that you're like just some fiend for like attention.
Yeah.
Not always, but so yeah, I've definitely taken that into account a little bit, and just try to be someone who isn't forcing anything down anyone's throat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. So what can we like look forward to from Soap in the future, musically, videos, I guess clothes, merch type shit?
Well, we have a video coming out.
Exactly.
You heard it here first. I don't know if that'll be out before this even, but I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Stay tuned.
Then I got the other one going on. New merch in the works. New album in the works. New song dropping soon. New everything. New shoes.
New shoes. It's down to the shoes, everybody.
I'm just kidding. I don't. These aren't new, but I will eventually make shoes. I can't let the idea go because I already have an idea, but I'll tell you after this.
Okay. Yeah.
Someone's going to watch through this and steal my shoe idea. No, I'm just kidding.
Someone besides us.
Definitely not. But I do want to make it a surprise, and I also don't want to announce too many things at one time because then you fail on one of them and your brain.
And that one person that watched all the way through is like, where's that other thing?
I'm gonna kick his ass, man.
I'm gonna kick his ass, exactly.
I'm off. Unfollowed on everything.
Exactly.
Canceled for life. Thrown in the gulag. Swimming in puppy blood.
Ugh.
That was horrible.
Terrible. So, any shout outs, anything else you want to talk about? We need to get off your chest. Tell the world.
Be nicer to each other. No, be nicer to each other.
It's good advice.
And love yourself, because that's the realest type of love, baby.
Exactly. Man, wisdom. All right, cool, man. That's a wrap.
That was great, man.
Appreciate you.
Thanks for listening.